you're struggling to leave behind unwanted bad habits such as vaping, drinking each weekend, scrolling on your phone for hours a day, no worries. This video is for you, and by the end of it, you'll have a framework of how you can leave behind these bad habits. My name's Dan. I'm a coach who helps people develop self-discipline and build confidence. And over the past 3 years, I've been able to go months without drinking compared to drinking each weekend, cut out corn for my life. I'm not sure why we say corn now, but corn basically. And also, no more hitting snooze on alarms. It's pretty nice to get up at your first alarm every day. So, this isn't to brag, but more so just demonstrate that these habits, of course, have nuance to them, but simultaneously, there is a framework that you can apply to each, say, bad habit of your life to mitigate it, to eliminate it. And that's what we're going through in this video today. Now, if you're strapped for time and you're like, hey, don't really want to learn this framework, I understand. So I have a free app called Bad Habit Breaker Ben. Pretty cool. And basically, Ben is designed to help you leave behind unwanted habits. And it uses simple behavioral techniques customized to your life and your challenges. You can access Ben totally for free in the link below. So before we break that bad habit, we have to understand what brings it on. We have to understand the cues. And what I mean by that is what's happening that leads us to scroll on our phone for a stupendous amount of time, good word, or vape or drink, whatever the bad habit is. It's not just those three. Typically, when I grab my phone, I am bored or I just complete a task. And we can just go, I just complete a task. So that's the cue that brings on me grabbing, reaching for my phone is I just complete a small task at work. Another example of this could be vaping. It could be like, oh, when I'm stressed, I go into my pocket and I hit the vape. Understanding the cues allows us to understand what's bringing on this bad habit. And even with drinking, it could be when you get a text from your friend Mike saying like, oh, plans tomorrow, we're going to Don Tito's. It's a bar in Arlington. The second thing we'll do is we want to understand the purpose it serves because all these bad habits, from James Clear, he talks about this in Atomic Habits, but just generally speaking, habits, they provide us with something, even the bad ones, obviously. So for drinking, that could provide us with excitement, that can provide us with social needs, being social environment, talking to people, something we all crave and want to a degree. And it can also provide us with like dating opportunities. We meet a cute girl, someone at the bar, we want to say hi. So it could provide, these habits do provide us with something, something primal generally. So what we'll do here is one, we identify the cue. What brings it on? It could be Mike texting us about the plans. With vaping, it could be just something stressful happens. With the phone, it could be you just got done a task, for example. So we understand the cue. Then we go to what it provides us, the services it provides, social needs, excitement, dealing with stress, relaxation, all these things. Then the next part here is extremely important. We need to understand what it costs us as well, because sure it provides things to us, these unwanted bad habits, but we also have to understand what is it costing us? Because why stop? If you're going to the concert for free, why stop going? But if you have to pay $300 every time you go to the concert, then you can look at your bank account and be like, wow, this concert is costing me a lot of money to go to it. I don't know if it's worth going to this concert. I don't know if this performer is really that good. So let's understand what's costing us. What I mean by that is with drinking. Drinking, there's a lot of costs that come to drinking outside of the financials. It costs us, some time, but not really the time. That's not the strongest, but health, definitely. Productivity. And the time, actually, you could look at it as not while you're drinking, but the time it takes to recover, which could be one day. And for me now, it's like 3 days. So we could look at these costs, the price of this habit. And it can't just be abstract things, it can't just be money unless you really feel that in your bank account. And what I'm getting at here is you need to feel it. It needs to have some emotional resonance. And as I mentioned, what we're doing here is one, we're identifying the cues. Then we're understanding what purpose it serves us, what provides us really. But then we go to the cost, what's costing us. So that is kind of just like the foundation. Now, how do we break this damn thing? So the first way and most straightforward way is by replacing it. Drinking is a great example. If drinking provides you with excitement, with a social outlet, then what can we do instead? If what we're really getting from this and what we want from this is the social outlet and the excitement, what else could provide that? Well, a rec league, a local rec league we could join, maybe the gym, a coffee shop if it's just a social outlet. Could be anything, could be a number of things. But identifying and that's why it's so important to identify what provides us so we can map that on to another activity that's quote like healthier or that we just want to do more of. It doesn't take so much from us. With vaping is an interesting one too, because personally I haven't contended with vaping. Some of the clients I've worked with have. And it does come on from, the stress and it provides an outlet and provides relaxation, etc. But what I recommend before is you can replace it with chewing gum. You can replace it with getting a cup of coffee. Anything that, if it serves to be a tool of relaxation, what else relaxes you? That's a question to ask yourself. And then look there to replace it. So the most straightforward way here to break the habit is just to replace it with something that provides a similar service and purpose that the bad habit does. You know, but not everything is as straightforward as that. With the vaping particularly, it's not as just straightforward as a chew gum. Like chewing gum may not relax you. It could distract your mouth, but it's not going to most likely say relax you. So what can we do in addition to just quote replacing that may not always be applicable? What we can do in addition to just replacing is architecting our environment. What I mean by that is we can add friction to things we want to do less of. James Clear talks a lot about this in Atomic Habits, but even just general behavioral economics here. If things require a lot of effort for us to do, we're going to see them as less valuable. That if we want an apple, for example, it's in the front lawn, we just have to go out and grab it. Yeah, it's not that much of a cost, but if we have to go 2 blocks to get the apple, we're like, yeah, it's not worth it. I don't want the apple that bad. So that's just a concept here is how can we add friction to the bad habits that we want to leave behind? And with vaping, maybe we put it in a little box. Maybe we put it at the top shelf of a closet that you can't reach. If you're really tall, then that may not do much for you. But for everyone else, it could. And the point being here is just adding friction, making it a bit more difficult for you. So those are two major things. I also want to add in accountability here. Accountability can be extremely helpful because it puts your integrity in the eyes of others now. It's not like public. And you feel almost pressured. You feel like, oh, like I should be doing this. I said I was going to be doing this. And now my mom knows about it. My friend knows about it. My brother knows about it. So accountability is a great tool here. To always rely on accountability probably isn't the best. You should graduate to self-accountability where you hold yourself accountable. But it's great when starting out. So I'm not going to knock it. Okay. So quick recap on breaking the damn habit. 1, replace it with a similar behavior that is healthier, that fits what you're looking for and provides a similar purpose and need. 2 is we add friction to the habit. And I know I spoke on vaping for a little bit, but let's also look at drinking. If you don't have roommates, you could just simply get rid of alcohol in your apartment or home. If you do have roommates or other people you live with, you can ask them to label it. You could ask them to be like, this is John's alcohol, this is Mike's, this is Sarah's, etc. Additionally, when it comes to scrolling on your phone, what we could do to add friction is if we don't want to be scrolling while we're working, this is probably the easiest one, honestly, is put the phone somewhere that you have to get up and go to grab it. You have to be real intentional if you want to grab it. So for me, when I'm in deep work, I put my phone outside of the room. Actually, I think it is on a different desk in this room right now, but generally I try to put it outside in the room. But point being is it's not on my desk. It's not on the desk. It's not easy for me just to grab it. I have to get up and walk over to it. So another thing I want to touch on is managing our emotional states. Managing your emotional state is important in any endeavor, but especially when breaking a bad habit. And what I mean by that is if the habit we want to leave behind is, say we would just want to take a month off from drinking to feel better, to be more productive, say you have a lot of work going on, a lot of personal commitments, etc. But you go out to a baseball game and you're at the game and people are drinking, the people you're with are drinking, but you don't want to. However, you start thinking about, man, it'd be really fun if I had a drink. It'd be really fun if I had a drink right now. we're going to a bar after, or I could go to a bar after, I could, all this stuff. What we're doing in that moment is we're really indulging in this feeling of like excitement, almost like dopamine, anticipation of reward. If we are thinking about, oh, how fun this could be, how fun this could be, how great this could be. And we're in essence making it much more difficult to not indulge in that bad habit. So there's two ways to tackle this beast. The one is when you notice yourself going down that rabbit hole of thinking how cool this would be, how great this would be if I just indulged in this bad habit. We first notice it, redirect your focus. Think about something else entirely. If you're at the baseball game, think about what you're doing tomorrow. It also offers you a compelling reason not to. So think about something else. Redirect your focus. If it's about scrolling on your phone, you could think about, it's probably 15 minutes. I really want to get this done before 5 p.m. This is going to sabotage that. Just it doesn't have to be like the cost per se, but just redirect your focus is the point here, because that allows you to get your mind elsewhere and lower your emotional state to where you're not getting yourself all hyped up about potentially indulging in this bad habit or how great it would be. And emotional states are kind of like this. It was explained to me by psychologists before that they are basically, think of emotional states like a car in San Francisco. The car is at the top of the hill in San Francisco. You first push on the car, that's your mind thinking about this. It'd be pretty easy while the car's still at the top to get in front of it and stop it. You're just like stopping it. It becomes a lot more difficult once that car gets momentum on that hill. And at a certain point, you just have to like let it quote run its course. If it's all the way halfway down the hill and it's going down, trying to get its way, you're gonna get ran over. And what we can do in that situation is simply, well, two things actually. One, we can just acknowledge that this is going to pass. We can quote surf the urge. Surfing the urge is understanding that, hey, in time, this is going to pass. Whether I indulge in this bad habit or not, this emotional state of me being all worked up about this thing is going to pass. Whether I indulge or not, it's going to pass. Additionally, what we can do is get distance from temptation. What that means is you just remove yourself from the physical environment typically. But I have friends, and I've done this before myself, but a friend was doing dry January and he was out with friends though at a bar, but he's like, I'm not drinking, I'm not drinking, I'm not drinking. And then what happened was he won the drink, you know, typically how it goes. He was seeing how fun it would be. Everyone was doing shots and he was, this is difficult, like this sucks. And one thing he did, like he didn't realize what he was doing, but he just went to the bathroom and he's walked, he's like, I'm just going to go to the bathroom. And he spent a couple minutes in the bathroom, just washed his hands, checked his phone. And he's like, when I came out, I felt like reinvigorated. Like I felt okay. Like I don't need to get a drink here. Once more, we're just getting distance from temptation. Not to belabor the point, but it's basically getting physical/mental distance from that temptation if you're worked up in that emotional state. One thing I want to hit on here too, for like wrapping up, is the feeling of deprivation. If you feel like you're depriving yourself of something, you'll always have a craving for this. I learned this in Alan Carr's book. I never smoked tobacco, really. I learned this in Alan Carr's book, Easy Way to Stop Smoking. What he really hit on is if you always rely on your willpower, which is largely looked at as like a reservoir, which eventually can be emptied and then you kind of just likely to give in to that temptation. If you always rely on your willpower, then you'll always kind of have to like use it up. And that comes from feeling like you're deprived, that you have to exert self-control not to do this thing. And a more optimal way is to not really feel deprived, like to really understand like you're losing this bet. Like from the bad habit, it may give you once more to go back to the concert. You may get to see that performer, but it's costing you way more. You're getting 5, but the person's taking 10 from you. So it has to be compelling. It has to be compelling, the reason, the cost as to why not to do this. And Benjamin Franklin said, like, that which hurts us instructs us. So I mentioned that example in December of 2022 when I like threw up basically after a long night out. That really hurt, not just like in the moment, but that really hurt to be like, wow, I'm wasting a lot of time and I'm not getting the quote gains, but also just healthy. I'm not prioritizing my health in the way I want to. And that hurt to think about that. I was consistently doing it. So point being is that if the cost is high and we had felt some like physical, emotional, cognitive pain from it before, some conflict, That's not like the worst thing in the world because it can instruct us, like, be like, hey, it serves as like a catalyst, basically. Like, hey, this is not worth it. We should change. We should stop doing this thing. Okay. So this at a very high level is how you break a bad habit. There's always more tools in the box to add to this. Don't get me wrong. It's not just limited to this, but this is at a high level is how you can break a bad habit. And once more, as I said in the beginning of this video, I will provide the link to Bad Habit Breaker Ben in the description below. Completely free app that helps you break bad habits, customized to your challenges and to the habit you're trying to break and leave behind. Totally for free, too. And then under the Bad Habit Breaker Ben app, I'll also put my website where you can work with me directly if you are interested in having more hands-on approach. Till next time, people, take care.